remember the day when the Riverside Years Bill Evans box set was announced earlier this year. I remember the excitement online. Everyone starting to save their money for that expensive box set. $900. Well, it was not a new box set though. It was a reissue. It was originally released in 2010. And it was also reissued in 2017. Despite not being featured on discogs, apparently there's another stealth reissue of this. This is a massive box set, 11 LPs, or 11 albums, cut at 45 RPM, so 22 LPs. The material is not unreleased. It's a compilation or a box set of previously issued albums, the Riverside Years. Yet, it generated an amount of excitement in the vinyl community that was quite spectacular. It was interesting to watch that. And what was it that that made it so exciting? Was it the music? I mean, the records are available and very nice, good sounding records. So I guess it's like the massiveness of the thing that is appealing, and also the collective hive mind, like, let us get this. And the price of it makes it even more spectacular in a way. The more expensive it is, maybe for a certain way some people are wired, it makes it more attractive. I understand that, and why not? But so I went and checked a little bit some data about it on Discogs to see the various pressings of this, and to assess desirability. So in 2010, they did 1,500 copies of that box set. Currently on Discogs, 147 people have it, 373 want it. And there's one copy for sale for $3,000. The sales history of this record is between $650 and $1,900. So in 2017, they did a press of it. Half of it was pressed at Palace, where it was originally pressed, and half of it at RTI in the US. 216 people have it, and 366 want it. The price range is between $1,000 and $1,400. The sales history, and just two copies available between $1,300 and $1,400. In September this year, so they did 3,000 of this again, and so far you get in like the span of a month or so, 455 people have it and 113 want it. First time the dynamic shifts, that there's more people who have it than people who want it. Of course, it's a new release, but still. And of course, also the prices are different, as it's sold for $980, and you can find 8 copies ranging from $800 to $2,000 plus. But I was thinking, what do these numbers tell me about the desirability of this? Well, it tells me that it is desirable, but to what extent? We are currently living in a sort of golden age of box sets. They are horrible, they are great, they are impressive, they are a pain in the ass. They can be useful, They can be pointless, and often they are redundant, as they feature material that has already been issued on vinyl, either in a way that is unavailable anymore, or still available in the second-hand market. And when I say available, I mean affordable to a certain extent. So I have quite a few box sets. I have, I don't know, maybe anywhere between 50 and 100. Yeah, quite a big margin. But I thought, like, what would be the box that I own that would have the most desirability? Well, I can ask the question to me and also to discogs. It's not going to be the same answer, but I came up with something in between, and I introduce you to the Disintegration Tapes, William Basinski. This is a spectacular project box set, compiling all the Disintegration Tapes volumes that were issued between 2002, I believe, and 2012. William Basinski is a musician, sound artist, saxophone player, originally from Texas, who was part of the experimental scene of San Francisco during the 70s, and who moved to New York in the early 80s. He wasn't particularly successful with his own music, but he was getting quite a few gigs. He played saxophone for many artists on mainstream releases, underground releases. He was part of the music scene in New York, in Brooklyn, in New York. And back then he was living with a friend of his in a loft, an artist, painter, filmmaker, and he was doing music. He was doing his performances and his tapes. He was basically recording tape loops. Tape loops is not necessarily a style of music in itself, but it is the act of recording a sequence of music and to create a tape loop. You would basically play this loop between two tape recorders so that it would be an endless piece. You could do it on one as well, because the tape has no end. It's a loop, and there are several ways this technique has been expanded. As I was just saying, like the act of putting the loop between two tape recorders. So one you would press play and the other record, so that you would record the constant change in the quality of the tape. But what Basisnski did is that he just did these recordings around 1982. Very lush, pastoral, elegiac music, like very cinematographic. And as with many of his projects, he stored it away. And as it goes with time, sometimes you forget about stuff like that and you move to something else. And in 2010, no, sorry, in 2001, during the summer, I think it was in July, the biography says, he found them and proceeded to digitalize them, to archive them. So the artist doing the archiving of his own material. And as he proceeded in playing the loop endlessly into the computer on high definition, he noticed something very alarming. The tape started to disintegrate. which actually means that the iron dioxide on the that covers the plastic film that is a tape started to brittle away from the plastic film. But it didn't do it suddenly. It was gradual, which means that while he was playing the loop, you would get less and less information, or you could say that the information on the tape would start to erode. And that created a very special result, mood, emotion, one that had many interesting artistic and philosophical implications. And so he realized this was a matter of archiving and also a race and also an artistic expression. He had to record them and transfer them as soon as possible before the tapes just disintegrated by themselves, as they were already doing that while he was playing them. And happy with the result, trying to process what the material he had at hand meant, he found himself with some friends listening to it on the roof of the building he lived in Brooklyn on September 11, 2001. And as him and his friends saw the events, the collapse, the disintegration of the World Trade Center, this massive structure that they saw at first like hurt, that they would never imagine would actually disintegrate. They watched this happening during all day with all the, the dust around them, and with this music playing in the background. And that was a mystical experience for this whole clique. And that's when William Basinski understood what the work meant, which is very interesting because in two ways, like he understood what the work meant retrospectively, but it's also interesting that this work has become probably the most important and relevant memorial to the events of 9/11, featured in the 9/11 Museum in New York. And yet, the creation of that was prior to the event. So the conceptualization was after the fact, and the importance, the relevance of it was anticipation. It's a very interesting dynamic with this box set. So in the years following, he released Disintegration Loops Volume 1, then Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. These were underground or alternative successes. They were released on good labels, really good labels, and they were met with extremely good critical success reviews, to the point that in 2010 and 11, I think, they did a live performance of the work in New York and in Venice. I remember first being exposed to these CDs around 2004, 2005, and 2006, yeah. And I was intrigued by them. I can't say I fell in love instantly with them, but one particularly struck me. I think it's Volume 2. Yeah, it is Volume 2, and it became like a sort of mind worm, and and yeah, I just love the work. And eventually in 2012, Temporary Residence, the label, released this massive box set, which features 9 LPs, 4 doubles, 1 single LP, which is playing slightly in the background, the live versions, 4 CDs of the versions of the same albums, the 4 volumes, and 1 CD for the live show, and a DVD of the live performance. But it also features a quite spectacular book, quite thin pages with the pictures taken of the events of 9/11 from William Basinski's roof when it happened throughout the day. So you can see how it gets more and more dark, obscure, and there's like hundreds of pages of this, so we get to complete darkness. There's a few essays in that are quite good, actually, informative, by friends, musician friends, Antony from Antony and the Johnsons, David Tibet from Current 93, his former roommate from all these years in New York, and some more like technical stuff. The whole affair was mastered by Dennis Blackham, who's been around since the 70s and a very, very good mastering engineer. Not very celebrated in the audiophile world, but this is definitely an audiophile pressing, and it was actually marketed as such, but it is dead silent, like very dynamic, because even if that music is very calm, elegiac, it has some tension that kind of builds up, and interestingly so, the tension builds up as the sound becomes less, become scarcer in a way. The wholeness, you feel it dissolving, and in a way you could say that this music, yeah, the fact that it was done before the fact, in a way, the music is about something we all realize is going on, the impending doom of our glorious post-war years, even if we have the ghost of nuclear holocaust. But yeah, this is the music of the American paradise lost, in a way. It's a celebration of it and the mourning of it. It is very delicate, very beautiful. It is music that takes you, and it's kind of a shame to have it as background music. Because of that work, William Basinski has become a very renowned and in-demand figure. He had released 1 record before that on Raster Noton, the short-wave music, based, real electronic music. And since then he had a few other records, like quite a few, some really good ones. Many of these on Temporary Residence as well. And many collaborations. This one with Lawrence English, very, very good. He just released a record with Yannick Schaffer, we talked about recently on Michael 45 stream. And yeah, this is his latest solo album from 2022, I think. That was really spectacular. But I love all these records, but I always find myself coming back to, the Disintegration Tapes. This box set was issued in 2012 in an edition of 2,000 copies. There's currently 729 people who have it on discogs, and 2,555 who want it. It goes from $460 to $1,060, and there's currently one box for $700 up to $3,540 for a pristine mint copy of this. When this was released, they claimed it was a one-time pressing only. This would be the only time this would be pressed on vinyl. Maybe during our lifetime, maybe not, because since then, that has, as you can see from the numbers, this has become like a cult record. A record that maybe some people who are not like passionate about that kind of music, even if it's very listenable and approachable, they share an emotion with it. They find their self in it. And so there's been a lot of pressure on the label to reissue that, but like that's not something that is easily done. Plus the fact that they said they wouldn't do it. So I guess it feels weird to talk about Desirability, about a memorial record about 9/11, September 9/11, 2001. But at the same time, I guess managing to still feel close to that is important for many people, not to forget and to remember the emotional charge of the event. And that box set is very helpful in that way. I guess it's a very Western world concern in many ways, but still, you can also enjoy this for just what it is, a beautiful piece of music, of sound art, of emotions. And I don't know if this will ever be reissued, but when it comes to Desirability, I like Bill Evans as much as anyone. I have my preferred areas in his discography. I like his 70s MPS stuff. I wouldn't say I love it, but I like it. But it struck me when I saw all these people being so passionate about this box set, which was a reissue of a reissue of a reissue of records previously published. And I applaud people for feeling passionate about music and records. But when I come back to Desirability, beyond the moment, beyond the instant of like a record being announced and you wanting it, this record is the lack of its presence in many people's collection is an issue for these people, like an ongoing issue that for 10 years now has been very present in their mind. I bought it after the fact. I first saw a second-hand copy of this in a shop in London for a very decent price, but it was missing the CDs, and for some reason I'm not getting in that. And then it was extraordinarily expensive. When it was released, it was around $200, which is quite cheap when you think about it. But yeah, eventually I found a copy at a very nice price that the guy who actually did the design on the part of the box, it was his own complimentary copy he sold to me. So it's also nice to have such a copy. But yeah, I basically just encourage you to go listen to William Basinski, to listen to the Disintegration Loop, and to do that without distraction. And you might find yourself in that difficult position of suddenly feeling an urge, a need to own this box set. Or you could go and buy one of these still available Bill Evans box sets, the Riverside years. And on that note, I hope you and guys enjoyed that. You can like, subscribe, and comment. Essentially comment. That's the most important thing. And I hope everyone is good, and that we'll keep talking about that and other stuff. Bye for now.